You know, Apple really knows how to blow our minds because my mind has certainly been blown. So we have our first look at the M1 chip through some leaked benchmarks on Geekbench 5, and they're very, very impressive. In fact, I would go on to say it's some voodoo magic at this point because I have no idea how Apple are getting insane results like this. So the first benchmark in question is from the entry-level MacBook Air, the $1,000 MacBook Air. Now, obviously in the past, the Air has never been a power demon. It's always been decent enough for the light users, but this one is on another level. So let me break it down for you guys, okay? The M1 MacBook Air has a single core score of 1,687 with a multi-core score of 7,433. Now, yes, I know this probably doesn't mean a lot to you guys because it's just a bunch of numbers, but if you start comparing it to other Intel MacBooks, you start to see the amazing possibilities with Apple Silicon. Because here's a cheeky fact for you guys, okay? The single core performance of this Mac is better than any Mac Apple's ever made. You heard me right. A entry-level Mac beats out every single Mac Apple's ever made, including the professional level Macs they still sell, like the Mac Pro, the iMac Pro, the 16-inch MacBook Pro, all of that. This $1,000 machine has more performance than all of them. That's insane. In fact, taking a closer look at the i9 16-inch MacBook Pro, that's around $4,000, you kind of start to see why Apple Silicon is way better. So this i9 MacBook Pro has a single core score of 1,096 and a multi-core score of 6,870. That's a lot worse than the MacBook Air. And again, this is a more expensive machine. This is 4 times the price of the Air, and yet you're getting better performance with the MacBook Air. How does that make any sense? Can't lie, I feel bad for you guys with 16-inch MacBook Pros because you spent $4,000 and then the following year, Apple releases a Mac that's much faster for a fraction of the price. And let me remind you guys, this is the fanless Mac. This is the Mac that doesn't have any cooling whatsoever. So the fact it's able to produce this much power with no additional cooling is pretty impressive, but it also gets me excited about the Mac Mini and the 13-inch MacBook Pro with additional cooling and the results we can expect with those, because I'm expecting them to maybe beat out the 16-inch MacBook Pro even further. Also, another cheeky fact in case you still don't understand how big Apple Silicon is, this MacBook Air with the M1 chip is pretty much close to the multi-core score of a $6,000 base Mac Pro. You heard me right. The Mac Pro that professionals use, professionals use for 8K video editing, is only slightly better than a $1,000 consumer level laptop. That's how insane Apple Silicon is. It's just mind-blowing. Obviously, I know that Geekbench is just a bunch of random numbers on a screen, but you gotta admit, this is impressive and it will change the user experience for you. Because with previous MacBook Air models, I really couldn't recommend it to anyone since it was so underpowered that if you were looking to do anything out of the ordinary, like some cheeky photo editing or some video editing, it would just be near impossible. But that is no longer the case, people, because this MacBook Air is so overpowered that it should be fine for pretty much anything you throw at it. And so I can once again recommend the MacBook Air, and I think it'll be fine for 6, 7, or even 8 years of use because this is so overpowered to begin with. Think of it like this. The A14 chip in the iPhone is super overpowered. A lot of people aren't going to utilize the full power of the A14, but because it's so powerful, you get years and years and years of support. 6 years to be specific. 6 years of support. And so imagine that with the Mac, you can get years of support with these Apple Silicon Macs, and I think that's going to be absolutely great for most people because obviously Macs are still expensive. $1,000 for the MacBook Air is a lot of money, but at least now I feel like you can use it for many years to come, and I feel like it kind of justifies the high price tag. And honestly, with Apple Silicon, you could probably get away with doing some heavy tasks on the Air, like maybe some 8K video editing, because as Jonathan Morrison showed us in the video, the 12 mini, the smallest iPhone this year with the A14 chip, exports video faster than a fully spec'd out iMac. And this isn't video that's, you know, trash like mine. It's ProRes 8K video, and the Mini is handling it like a champ. It's a fanless product, much like the Air, so I think you could get away with doing some really heavy things on the Air, which is pretty impressive. Honestly, I think Apple should have flexed these kind of stats at the event, because if they came on stage and said that, hey, the new Air is faster than the 16-inch i9 MacBook Pro, our minds would have been blown much like it is right now. But no, instead, they compared the M1 to the latest PC laptop chip, whatever that means. Anywho, at least we now know how mighty the M1 chip is, and let me remind you, this is just the entry-level Mac chip. There's more to come, and we will see even more powerful chips in the 16-inch MacBook Pro and the iMacs in 2021 and 2022, and I'm certainly looking forward to that. But tell me in the comments, people, are you looking forward to Apple Silicon? If so, are you planning to pick up an Apple Silicon Mac? And on that note, I'm going to end it here. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, click that bell notification, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya, peeps.